Hey, what's up guys, it's Apollo Uchiha here, back with another part of What If Naruto Was in a Political Marriage. Before continuing this, I would like to ask you guys about regarding my channel. It is that, would you guys like me to do What If Naruto's one shot? And it will be mainly focused on Naruto because he's the main character, as well as other characters as well. Some fan fictions are based on focuses on other characters just like Kakashi and for example Obito and so on, like you know what I'm talking about, as well as some action and funny ones here and there. If you like the idea, please comment down below if you would like me to do that. And I am currently working on a script of What If Naruto Was in a What If Naruto Was the Godzilla's reincarnation, yeah, that one. And it might take some time for me because I am working on my first movie. It will take some time, but I hope you like that one because it's going to be my first one. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And without further ado, let's continue our story. If you haven't, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel. And without further ado, let's continue our story. Chapter 24, The Ball. Several weeks later, I don't like my dress. It's too furry, Akatsuki stated, pulling at her pink Victorian-style ball gown. It was the only dress that she owned, and it was made special for this occasion. You look great, Naruto said sympathetically. Unlike me, I am a penguin, Naruto said in reference to his own state of dress, which was consisted of a lavish tuxedo and furry undershirt. He emphasized his statement by waddling around like a penguin and making bird noises. Akatsuki stifled in laughter. The ball was proceeding in the background. To them, it was slow compared to their lifestyle. Penguin people logically flowed across the floor. The music's tempo never reached any of the greater levels. The waiter all carried their platters of wines and other finger foods with expert precision. Maybe it was due to the fact that they were ninjas that they just couldn't mingle and have fun. I know, brat, I can pull off a tux look, but that doesn't stop it from feeling silly, Shira said to his right, wearing a tuxedo eerily similar to that of his student. Tsunade walked up behind him to add her own 2 cents. There's nothing in the world that you could wear that you wouldn't manage to look silly in. Tsunade was wearing a slightly more modern ball gown than Akatsuki was, although it was under-emphasized her breast size, probably to make the various lords and daimyos take her slightly more seriously. It was one thing to know that she could turn them to paste, but people often forgot about the fact when they were too busy ogling her chest area. That's her, Tsunade-chan, Jiraiya said with a feigned expression of hurt. As Tsunade and Jiraiya continued to talk back and forth, Naruto nervously glanced at Akatsuki. So, this is a dance. Would you like to go dance? Akatsuki quirked a brow at his nervous behavior. Sure, but I don't really know how to dance at all. Naruto brightened up. That's okay, I'll lead. Under direct orders of the Hokage and his grandmother figure, Naruto was forced into dancing lessons for the occasion. Everything from ball style to salsa to Irish jig. If there was a type of dance to master, then he mastered it. Shadow clones were the best for things like this. Jiraiya had also emphasized the importance and significance of asking someone to dance with them. From his perspective, asking someone to dance was asking that someone to share a moment in life where they both, using his words, fell into a bliss of physical and emotional pleasure. Jiraiya was just messing with him, but that didn't make it any less fun to watch. Akatsuki and Naruto took the dance floor, where Naruto directed her hands to rest on his shoulders while he grabbed her waist. The flow of the music was a medium-fast rhythmic tempo with a classical lilt to it. Naruto began mentally counting his steps as he led Akatsuki across, around, through, and between the floor. Spinning all the way, if Akatsuki was surprised by his skills of dance, she didn't let it show through. Most of the guests all paused to look at them dance together. They knew who the ninja were based on sight alone, but the things that they were more confused on was the way that they danced. It was as if they added something extra to their movements, a sense of expediency or a sharpness to the way they turned and moved. To a non-shinobi, it was a mesmerizing sight. Akatsuki laughed twirled, prompting Naruto to laugh as well, considering the lack of fun that he had during the classes. Actually, dancing with the person he liked was nice. It was a nice feeling dancing with someone intimately. So, how's your training going? Kotsuchi asked as they continued to flow and twirl all across the dance floor. I'm getting good with Nuibari. I've also almost gotten to the 1/4 mark in my affinity training. How's your training going? I can spit globs of quicklime already mixed in the water. Instead of spitting the powder and then saturating it with water. Really? How do you do that? It's difficult to explain to someone without the Kekigenkai for it. I'll have to take your word for it then. Brace yourself. Time for a dip, Naruto said with a grin. Dip? Kotsuchi made a half squeaking sound as Naruto suddenly held her by the back and lowered her to the point where her hair was almost touching the ground. As he pulled her back upwards, the sound of applauses pattered out all around them. Apparently, at some points, all the guests gave them the floor to themselves so they could dance without restrictions. It went unnoticed to them until the guests all clapped in amazement at their conclusion. Naruto and Kotsuchi blushed a bit as they all of the sudden became the center of the attention. Nobles from all over the country walked over to them and tried to make casual conversation. There were things like, are you going to have a proper ceremony for your wedding? What rank are you? Are you going to marry again? Are you happy with your married life? How do you manage to keep sane while sharing him with 4 other women? All of the questions bombarded them at once. Naruto and Kotsuchi tried to answer all of them in turn, but very often sidetracked by another question. As this continued and the married couple only got more and more confused, they shared a look before vanishing in a puff of smoke, body flickering away to get some air. The guests looked shocked and confused at first, but they reminded themselves the people they were talking to were shinobi, people who by their very nature were secretive and capable of doing all sorts of strange things. They puffed away to their vantage point by the legendary pervert and the legendary suckerer. Nice moves, kid, Jiraiya commented. Thanks, pervert, Naruto said distractedly as he looked all around the great hall, as no one else showed up yet. Jiraiya and Tsunade too began to look around with Naruto. Doesn't look like it, Tsunade said. They might just be running late. Even if the invitation only specified that the one involved directly in the marriage should be there, Tsunade decided that it would be imperative that Naruto should also arrive with at least a little bit of protection. It didn't have anything to do with the fact that Tsunade wanted to go to a formal ball, not one bit. Just as he said that, Fu trepidatiously walked into the great hall, taking great care to not be seen. Naruto noticed her right away and waved in her direction to get her attention. Noticing the very enigmatic individual, Fu fast walked to the group of formally dressed ninja. Hey Fu, Naruto said once she was within earshot. Hey Naruto, she replied with a forced smile. She seemed distressed somehow. Is something wrong? Naruto asked with a concerned expression. No, nothing wrong. It's just that I don't really like crowd that much. That's just all. Fu was very introverted person, preferring to spending time with one person at a time rather than a large group of people, so it made sense that she wouldn't feel very comfortable here. She wasn't afflicted by it all that much when she was in the open. But that was only because she knew that she could flee the scene rather easily if push came to shove. She couldn't do that right now or right here in the ballroom, where there were a lot of people and eyes all peering at her. Naruto wasn't really able to understand this, being the moderately extroverted person he was, but without anything else to say on the matter, he let it drop. Tsunade had decided that punctuality would be of the essence, so she decided that third Jiraiya and Naruto should arrive there on time, a sentiment that was not shared with all of the nations, as only Kotsuchi and now Fu had yet to arrive. Speaking of Fu, she decided to wear an orange party dress that exposed her midriff and the back, as well as lot of her legs. If anyone else had worn what she was wearing, they would come off as sluttery. Fu, however, had an air about her that denoted that the only reason that she wore it was so it gave better ease of her movements, much like her common attire. Fu looked around the party hall and noticed how lavishly everyone was all dressed up. Mostly of the lords and ladies, they were wearing extremely limiting clothing such as tuxedos, suits, ball gowns, and other such wearing stuff. She visibly began to shrink inwardly to herself. I didn't know that this was going to be a such formal thing. She explained, "Don't worry about it," Naruto said with a smile. "The whole point of this thing is to have fun. So if you have fun, then nothing really matters." "I like your dress," Kurotsuchi commented amicably. "Oh thanks, I like yours too. I had to borrow this one from my friend, Takana." "Yeah, that's right. How it's going with getting new friends with Taki?" Naruto asked. Jiraiya cringed at that remark. The negotiations to get Fu on the same trip with Naruto had broken down. Pro tip for negotiation and powerful leaders of nations: don't assume what would be best for the nation that they're taking care of. "It's going good. People are treating me better when I head in the village." "Were they not before?" Kurotsuchi asked. Naruto and Fu shared a look. "Jinchuriki aren't really liked," Naruto explained. This confused Kurotsuchi. "Since when?" "I don't mind Han and Roshi. They're the Jinchurikis in Eva." "That's just because, well, when I was a baby, Chomi got unsealed and killed a lot of people in our village. I guess I'm just a reminder of that." Naruto nodded along with that statement. "But now that what the things that that are keeping the peace between the nations, everyone is treating us better," Naruto added. Kurotsuchi nodded in slight understanding. The sound of the music changed tempo rather drastically. It became much fast-paced, prompting a good amount of the guests to take the floor and show off their skills. Fu began rather antsy at the sound of the music, looking like she wanted to move and dance as well. "Do you want to dance?" Naruto asked, noticing her state of restlessness. "I don't know how." "It's easy, I'll show you." Naruto took Fu's hand and sped off to the floor, not noticing Kurotsuchi airy. Tsunade saw the look on Kurotsuchi's face and decided to comment. "Oh, liven up. It's a dance, and there's only one of him to go around 5 of you. Or at least there will be when everyone show up." Kurotsuchi sighed in defeat. Yeah, I know." A puff of smoke lightened up near the group of shinobi and slightly sleep-deprived Yugito came out of the view. "Is this the right hall?" she asked. Some of the civilian guests looked shocked at the sudden arrival of the wife from Cloud, but quickly dismissed it as more shinobi shenanigans. "Yep," Jiraiya stated. "Good. This place has too many halls and not enough signs." Yugito was wearing a purple flowering dress that hugged her curves. It trailed off into two split tails that lightly grazed the floor. She spied Naruto trying to teach Fu an Irish jig in the middle of the dance floor. She wasn't taking it too well, but seemed to be able to laugh at her own failures, more often than not prompting Naruto to join in as well. Their presence really livened up the party's mood. "What I have missed so far?" she asked. "Nothing much," Tsunade said. "Some formalities at the beginning, but nothing often other than that." "Good. I'm sorry that I'm late, but I was held up back looking for a dress. We helped out though, so it didn't take that long." "B?" Jiraiya asked. They had met each other in passings, but the Tower Sage was able to glean that the Hachibi Jinchuriki probably wasn't the best of people to ask for dressing advice. "I just picked the thing that he didn't choose," Yuto said simply. "So what do I do now?" "It's a dance." "So dance," Tsunade said. "I don't dance." "Then socialize." "I don't socialize either." "Eat finger foods." "I hate finger foods." Tsunade held up her hands in defeat, spying a waiter carrying a champagne bottle and glasses. She lifted the entire thing from the platter. "Then it looks like it's time to get your drunk off your rocker," she said with a grin. The building that they were situated in was built a long time ago in the outskirts of the Land of Rain. Due to its limited military strategic value, it was mostly kept away from its term of fighting and destruction when it weathered both the second and third shinobi wars. The particular hall that they danced was taking place in had a large vaulted ceiling that held up by thick Roman-style columns intermittent along the edges of the dance floor. There were a great deal of round tables made of pure white marble. The band that played on the edge of the floor had a variety of instruments and players for nearly any type of musical genre that the lords and ladies wanted to take part in. To emphasize the scene of decadence and splendor, the water daimyo even contracted a swath of builders to put up an aquarium full of exotic fishes along the far side of the hall just day prior to the event. Imani wasn't unusually impressed. Such shows of wealth and power. When first arrived, Naruto was struck by the sheer weight that the room imposed on him and all others that entered there. Speaking of Naruto, he and Fu were currently dancing rather erratically all over the dance floor. Naruto was kicking rapidly all over the floor in a sequential rhythm to make the quintessential tapping sounds that Irish jigs were known for. Fu, on the other hand, was taking graceful leaps through the air around Naruto and came on the floor hard to complement his own tapping. The difference between the two styles of dance made the beginning very awkward, but as they progressed, they struck a very nice rhythm. It was a commanding sight to see them dance and fly around through the air with grace. Eventually, the song began to go through the finishing stages. To make the dance come to an explosive finish, Fu took one last straight leap through the air in the direction of Naruto, making sure that he saw her do so with an almost practiced ease. He caught her just as the song hit the last note. It was almost as though they practiced the dance for months, when in reality they just had such similar ways of thinking that they came to the correct conclusions correctly with each other. Naruto and Fu huffed as they remained in that position, staring at each other's eyes as the sound of applause surrounded them. Naruto broke into a smile. That was fun. Fu smiled back at him with closed eyes. Yes, it was. Before any of the guests had any chances to comment, Fu grabbed a tight hold on Naruto, sprouted a pair of translucent red wings from her back, and took flight. The wings hummed lightly as she started to fly around with Naruto nearly screaming in fright. Fu! Naruto asked. She adjusted her hold on Naruto so that his back was pressed against her torso. Didn't you say to have fun? She giggled into his ear. Naruto was afraid what would happen if he opened his mouth to speak once more. Don't worry about it, and just have fun. The air began to whoosh around Naruto as Fu sped up, started doing lazy circles around the ceiling of the hall. Most guests gazed up in wonder at the laughing Fu and her slightly freaked out husband. Tamari, who had just entered, looked at the sight above her with a little bit of amusement. Her party attire consisted of a tight lavender robe that opened up down to the middle, revealing a mesh underneath shirt. On her shoulder was a yellow cloak that complemented the rest of her dress. Looking around for anybody else that she knew, she sipped a mop of black hair, talking to Yugito. No way, she whispered to herself. Walking up to the speaking pair, she asked, Pink Suchi? Kurtsuchi turned around to face Tamari with almost immediately regretted look. Tamari, who at the time was having a hard time keeping in her amusement, suddenly let the dam break and began waffling in great huffs of air. Kurtsuchi's only option in that situation was to sit quietly and glower at the laughing wind user. This laughing took a great deal longer than Kurtsuchi or even used to expected it to. I can't believe that you dyed your hair pink. Tamari finally managed to get it out. Blushing in indignation and embarrassment, Kurtsuchi replied, Naruto did it, not me. Naruto dyed your hair pink? Yugito asked. When she mentioned the change of appearance to Akatsuki, she replied with clipped answer, denoting that she didn't really want to talk about it. Yup, she said with a tone of barely suppressed anger. When I was asleep, he bleached and dyed my hair pink. How did he manage to do that? I'm a heavy sleeper, but I got him good after that. Completely soaked him with paint. her tone turning into one of the amusements. Tamari sat down and took notice of the rest of the table for the first time. Next to Yugito, there was a large amount of empty champagne bottles, along with an empty champagne bottle lying on its side. The seat to her right was thrown back, meaning that someone had sat there until recently. She understood why almost immediately as she saw a very drunk Tsunade stumbling in the distance for a waiter to get her more booze. The champagne is a lot stronger than the Hokage thought, I guess. Yugito said, twirling a glass around in circles. I'm immune to the intoxicating effects of alcohol, but I don't tell her that. The Jinchuriki said coyly. Tsunade started harassing a poor blonde waiter who had his hair slicked all the way back just like the rest of the waiters. She looked like she was about to come to blows to get the alcohol that the waiter was refusing. But even being a civilian, he couldn't probably sidestep any swing that the Hokage sent his way just because of how drunk or disoriented she was. Yugito huffed in amusement. I never seen someone got so shit-faced drunk so fast. How long did it take? Tamari asked. About 10 minutes, Kurotsuchi replied. Tamari's eyebrows rose in disbelief. 10 minutes? I thought she was a heavy drinker. This glass that Yugito was twirling around fell on its side, sending a soft clunking sound all around the table. There were many more similar glasses surrounding it. She is a heavy drinker. She just drinks fast. A soft tapping sound took their attention away from the glass and towards me, who was using a walking stick to help support her right side. Hello everyone, she said cheerfully. She was wearing a traditional kimono that had wave pattern transitioning from a deep blue to a soft green as it traveled upwards. The tapping sound came from her walking stick, which she leaned heavily against. The walking stick was long, allowing her to walk without hunching over. What happened to you? Kurotsuchi asked. May merely smiled simply stated, a tree fell on me. Is everyone here? Yugito hummed a positive. May looked around with a little bit of confusion. Where's Naruto and the other girl? Tamari pointed upwards to the flying Fu and Naruto, who by the look of it was really getting into the whole flying thingy. May looked at them with amazement apparent on her features. She can fly? Well, she is the Nanabe's Jinchuriki. She's a Jinchuriki? Yugito nodded. Yup, so am I. Why do you seem so surprised? You must have at least heard of this. I've been slightly preoccupied waging war against a totalitarian racist of fearmonger. May said, taking a seat of her own and sighing audibly in relief. What about you two? She asked Kurotsuchi and Tamari. Are you Jinchuriki as well? Nope, but I do have the lava release Kage. I'm just good with the wind release. May gave Kurotsuchi a knowing smile. Really? I have the lava release Kage too. You do? The lava release Kage is arguably the one Kage that is most diffused across the elemental nations. Even so, meeting a person who is born with that Kage is very uncommon. Even more uncommon is becoming aware that you're a sister wife to one. Yes, I assume that you use quicksand or other such corrosives in your fighting style. Although any lava release user could feasibly use any sort of lava release jutsu, the villagers usually specialize in a single aspect. Iwa generally focuses on corrosives and other chemically based jutsu. Kiri focused on the actual molten rock from the lava, while Kumo focuses mostly on rubber forms of the lava release. Yeah, and you must use the melted rock kind, correct? Mostly. May eyed the woman around her with slight more difference than before. Well, aren't we the multi crew? She stated. This wasn't the first time that she was meeting them in socializing setting. Not having done her homework on the various females involved, she did know that they were actually accomplished shinobi that had extremely rare traits associated with them, namely being Jinchuriki or other bloodline limit user like her. Naruto and Fu alighted next to their table with a small humming sound. Naruto had a shit-eating grin on his face that didn't seem to be capable of going away, while Fu just seemed amused at his own state of affairs. His grin quickly vanished, however, as Naruto soon realized who was sitting at the table they were situated at. Mei? She gave him a reassuring closed-eye smile. Hey hubby, haven't seen you for a while. Are you okay to be here? Naruto dumbly asked. I'm fine. A little bit hard to walk, but that should go away in a week or so. I, I just... Naruto seemed to a loss of words. Yes, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to help you in the fight. It's my fault that you got hurt as bad as you did. Naruto said dismissively, lowering his head to the point where she couldn't see his eyes through his hair. Mei began to laugh long and harmoniously. She remained doing so until he grew the courage to lift his head up and see the reason for her doing so. Come here, she ordered maniaconically. Naruto walked to her slowly until she was within grabbing range. Then she took a hold of his arm and brought him over onto her lap for a comforting hug. Don't be stupid. The only reason that I'm alive is because of you. The rest of the table looked at the scene with surprising eyes. Am I missing something? Akatsuki asked. Well, Mei started. On the second day of our week together, there was a raid headed by the Kage. Naruto insisted that he would take care of the grunts while I met and battled with the Kage head-on. At some point during my fight with him, he grew coral into my right thigh and knocked a tree down on me, crushing my ribcage. The eyes of the all members at the table lightened up with concern. Oh, don't worry, I got scored a few hard hits too. The once my corrosive steam vanished, Naruto pulled the log off of me, which saved my life. I should have done more, Naruto stated. You couldn't have, Mei said. If you walked into the corrosive steam, you would have melted into a very sludgy liquid. Naruto still looked distressed at the thought of his own supposed weakness, but let it slide for now. Seeing as he didn't have anything to counter her argument for, Fu took a seat at the table, and after a final squeeze by Mei, Naruto took a seat by Akatsuki. You've gotten better at controlling Chaume's chakra, Fu. You didn't even have to spawn a full cloak to use the wings. Yugito commented. Fu bashfully rubbed the back of her head. Thanks. I've been practicing a lot. What about you, Naruto? How far have you gotten on controlling Kurama's chakra? Yugito asked. A grumbling sound resonated from the back of Naruto's head. Kyuubi still didn't like other people using its real name. Not so good. I've been trying, but it sounds like it won't be getting easier anytime soon. I might still be a bit too early for you then. What? Why can Fu do it but not me? Absolute Jinchuriki have a lot of trouble trying to control their Biju's chakra. Fu's a year older than you right now, so it stands the reason that she'll be better suited to learn how to handle Chaume's chakra. She and Chaume also are on better terms than you and Kurama, which might have something to do with her progress. I'm sorry, but where are Chaume and Kurama? Mei asked. Chaume is the Nanabe and Kurama is the Kyuubi. They have names? Akatsuki asked. Well, yeah, they're people too, just really big and made out of chakra. Sometimes Yugito forgot that other people didn't know that Bijus were sentient beings that were capable of rational, cognizant thoughts. She was just so used to Matatabe talking to her that it had stopped being abnormal to her long ago. What's your Biju name then? Mei asked. Link break. As Naruto and his harem continued to talk, got to know each other better, and find out the inner complexities of being a Jinchuriki, 6 people sat at a table together and didn't say anything. It was the kind of not saying anything that didn't denote a tense of dismissal atmosphere. No, this form of not saying anything was purely awkward. All the Kage seemed to have the same idea of coming with their respective members of the treaty, and it also seemed that the 5 Kages of the hidden villages plus 1 Sanin didn't have much to talk about. This wasn't helped by the fact that Tsunade was smashed beyond belief and barely conscious at the moment. A looked across the table at the other Kages. He was wearing a suit that was far too tight for his frame. It looked like if he made any sort of movement or muscle flex, then he was going to tear directly through it. Onichi was looking dapper and dandy for an older gentleman, wearing an old-fashioned tuxedo that was suited for his size. Baki, the representative from Suna, was wearing a traditional formal clothes from Sand, which consisted of a long beige robe, and Yagura was wearing a normal sea green tuxedo. So, how's the training camp going? A asked as amicably as he could, trying to drum up conversation. There were course of good all around the table, even by Tsunade, who was barely able to sit without falling over. Have there been any new developments? Onichi asked before taking a sip from his champagne. All around the table, the various Kage shook their heads, not even bothering to use their vocal cords. How is the street going? Jiraiya asked. The mention of this prompted all the Kages to look over to Naruto's table, where there was laughter and general frivolities all around. One by one, they all looked away and went back to their own state of awkward interactions. Baki snuck a look at the table where the daimyo were. They weren't even making any attempts to enjoy the dance, instead preferring to play a game of blackjack. Okay, screw this, Onichi stated before taking a deck of cards out of his sleeve and beginning dealing them out to the other Kages. The daimyos have the right idea. Texas Hold'em. Note bets. Aces Wild. Again, without making any sounds of vocal recognition, they all took up the cards and began playing the game of cards. Link break. This isn't going to go according to the plan. Yeah, the blonde waiter said to the black-haired waiter. Just do what was planned so far. We'll have to make up the rest along the way, the black-haired waiter said in return. The blonde waiter had a large amount of black eyeshadow going on and wearing gloves to hide the mouths on his hands. The only defining characteristics of the black-haired waiter were the eye through going vertical besides the nose. Those two were Deidara the Mad Bomber and Itachi the Clan Killer. They, along with the rest of Akatsuki, were tasked with obtaining the three-tailed Jinchuriki Yagura of the Hidden Mist. Deidara looked dissatisfied with his temporary partner's answer. Can you remind me why we're taking him and not the other three Jinchurikis here? Because 1. We don't know that the members of the treaty were going to be here, and 2. Getting rid of the dictatorial Yagura has a lesser chance of making everyone combine their forces to kill us rather than getting rid of those three. Deidara was still confused. But why do we all need to be here? The only ones not here are Leader Sama and Konan. The substance that Sasori put in the champagne won't affect Jinchuriki, but it'll affect the Kages. Aren't Kages immune to poison? The substance that Sasori made isn't any sort of drug or poison. It's just a substance that puts you to sleep. What is this substance anyway that puts you to sleep? When he tried to describe it to me, it didn't make any sense. It's practically just a venom along with an abrasive substance. The abrasive substance makes a small cuts in the esophagus while the venom enters the bloodstreams. From my understanding, it was very difficult to synthesize into a tasteless substance, so most of the effectiveness that the venom normally would have is now gone. That makes a lot of more sense. So are we going to slit the throats of the Kages when they're taking their nap? We're mercenaries, not murderers. Killing our client's base isn't the most effective way to make money. Fair enough? Yeah. When are we going to start? When everyone that possesses a threat to us are safely wrecked, with the nervous system hemorrhaging, and the Jinchuriki and the underaged, well, figure something out. At the very back of the hall, a pair of yellow eyes peered through the recesses of a large aquarium. A man with silver hair that was currently not slicked back silently played a flute amongst the band members. His normal hairstyle prevented him from entering the ball as a waiter, who all had slicked black hair out of fear that he might get recognized. A large fern almost quivered with excitement at the far ends of the hall. Their eyes of a marble statue flickered momentarily to the left, then back to their original positions. Another rather well-built and tall waiter with tan skin served finger foods to a pair of giggling ladies. For now, the members of Akatsuki were waiting time. Link break. There was another round of laughter from Naruto's table. You mean to tell me that you thought Naruto raped you? Temari gasped out between bouts of laughter. It was a weird morning. Yugito sat with her hands raised in mock defense. Naruto nodded, agreeing with her sentiments. They were currently regaling all their times with Naruto, as more often than not, something happened that was worth at least a good amount of laughter. Oh, remember the Battle of Painted Rocks? Kurtsuchi asked Naruto. I got you so fucking good with all those painted balls. The only thing I remember about that day was how pissed you were at me for dyeing your hair pink, Naruto said. Another round of laughter graced the table at the expense of Kurtsuchi. They were all getting along rather well. Even if they were brought into this situation hating and despising it, they all got to know one another and had become genuine friends. Even May, who had limited interaction with them up until now, felt like she was instantly a part of something that she had never experienced before. Friendship was cool like that. The band started playing a light, lyrical sounding music. It was the soundtrack most associated with the waltz. Without saying another word, Naruto got up from his chair and spawned 4 shadow clones. They circled the table and offered their hand to each of the 5 women. Could I have this dance? They all asked synchronously. It's really easy. The Narutos all assured them. All you have to do is follow my footsteps. Yugito grinned playfully and replied, I don't see why not. She then took his hand and followed him to the dance floor. Each of the women in turn took his hand and let him lead them away to the floor. The waltz is a rather simple dance style. It operates on a 3-step rotation, which repeats itself rhythmically. As Shinobi, learning different movements and adapting them to muscle memory quickly was part of their job description. Seeing as the dance is simple in nature, the 5 women soon had the moves committed to memory and were making graceful movements in turn with their personal Naruto, who winced slightly as she accidentally stepped on Naruto's toe. She was having a harder time getting the movements in sync than the rest, and the disappointment showed on her face. Naruto almost had the laugh at the expression that she was showing. Come on, Fu. Don't think about it so much. Just let it happen. She gave her first real friend a simple smile, a smile that showed her appreciation towards Naruto as he put up with her sometimes stepping on his toe and causing him discomfort. May, without her cane to support hers anymore, had to rest far more heavily on Naruto's left side. As they circled around the dance floor, the only adverse effect left from her fight was a small amount of nerve damage in her right leg, making it harder, although not impossible, to dance in tune with Naruto. I'm still sorry, Naruto stated. May sighed with her trademark smile on her face. Naruto, trying to take on the responsibility of the world on your shoulders will only leave you crushed under its weights. It's my fault that I got injured in that fight. No, stop worrying so much and dance with me, she said softly. Yugito smirked downwards at Naruto. Have you grown a bit taller than you were in Cloud? Am I? Naruto asked with a surprised expression that soon turned into one of excitement. Awesome! I must be getting my growth spurt. But don't get too tall, Yugito warned. I might just lose my hugging pillow if you get taller than me. I'm more than just a hugging pillow, you know, Naruto said with a deadpan. I know you are, but that's not going to stop me from treating you like one. Temari gave Naruto a mischievous smile. Aren't you the blonde one? Aren't you the bold one asking all your wives to dance while in the presence of your girlfriend? Naruto chuckled. It's not like that. Dancing is fun. You say that, but I think that you really are a polygamist deep down in your psyche. Naruto almost groaned. You and your big words. Is polygamist even really a word? Polygamy is the practice of taking multiple wives upon your own volition. Don't joke about that. I'm not. I'm just saying that married for life is a long time. Who knows? You might just get a little bit more than chummy with someone else, Temari said while looking at the dancing pair of Fu and her clones. Fu, we're friends. Temari saw the look that Fu gave her clone. She had seen the way that Fu looked at other people before. Fu usually held a mask of meekness upon her face, but whenever she was in the presence of Naruto, she instantly removed it to show what she was really feeling. For now, Tamari said almost unknowingly. Kotsuchi and Naruto looked into each other's eyes as they danced, and not talking much, just enjoying their presence to each other. You still owe me for dyeing my hair pink, Kotsuchi finally stated. I thought we were even. We'll never be even. Naruto seemed to ponder with that statement for a bit. Okay, is there anything I could do to even the scales? Even just a bit. Kotsuchi pondered his question as well. I can think of one thing, she said slyly. As they twirled around each other and in a sync with the other pairs, Kotsuchi closed her eyes and leaned forward until she was kissing her boyfriend. They remained like that for a while, still managing to sidestep the other pairs as they stayed in the ball's position. Naruto cracked open his eyes slightly to make sure he didn't collide into any furniture or stay away from the floor. Out of the corner of his eye, Naruto saw that the table where all the Kages were had a lot of completely smashed Kage fallen down on its surface. Naruto didn't understand what it was about all alcohol that attracted people to it, but decided not to dwell on it too much and just enjoy his time with Kotsuchi. He probably should have taken in his surroundings more effectively, because everything exploded around them not much later. As this is where I'm going to be leaving this part of, guys. I hope you like this one, and if you do, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below, as I said in the beginning of this video, if you like me to do more one shots and about other characters of Naruto instead of Naruto. And this is Apollo Uchiha, and I'm signing out. Peace.